Now, Boeing has responded to a report in the Wall Street Journal which suggests the Ethiopian Airlines pilots followed emergency procedures laid out by Boeing before the plane eventually crashed. The journal says that's based on the preliminary findings of a report into 737 MAX 8 crash, which killed all 157 people on board. Now, Boeing says it's cautioning against speculation excuse me, and discourages people from drawing conclusions before the report is released. Ethiopian officials say that's expected to happen tomorrow. Peter Goelz is a CNN aviation analyst who joins me now from Washington. Peter, good to see you. Let's start with that report if we can. If this report turns out to be true, then, Peter, it's pretty disturbing because the pilots basically did everything they could to regain control.
Well, I think everyone is anticipating that this preliminary report tomorrow will be able to answer just a couple of the questions. One is, why was the plane going so quickly as it took off? The second is, was there something else going on with the angle of attack indicator or perhaps with the speed indicator that gave false readings that kicked off this MCAS system, pitching the nose down? Hopefully we'll get some indications tomorrow, but this preliminary leak, if it's accurate, is very damaging to Boeing.
And Peter, I mean, within a Boeing official that was quoted in this report, basically suggesting that a proposed update will make the system more robust without going so far as to suggest the original design was inadequate. Do you think that is sufficient?
Well, I think we're seeing that update is being postponed as it's being reviewed for whether it meets all of the requirements. And this accident investigation taking place with Ethiopian will indicate whether that's enough of a fix or whether they got to go back to the drawing boards in a more fundamental way.
Yeah, and of course, like you said, we are waiting for the official report. But from what you've seen and these reports that you're reading, Peter, is it looking more like not being pilot error, but in fact machine failure?
Well, I think there's going to be a machine failure component to it. Well, all accidents are multiple, usually have multiple causes. In this, though, there is real question about the software, how it responds in certain situations, and that's going to be the key to the future of this aircraft. Boeing is going to have to do a significant redesign.
OK, but we know that the pilot had something like 8,000 hours of flying. They did everything they could. What does this tell you about perhaps the pilot training?
Well, Ethiopian Airways is known for a robust training program that's known as having good maintenance practices. So the question is, this was a serious pilot. What was it about it, of this situation, that he could not diagnose? Part of it had to be that he had very little time to do it. In Indonesian, the Lion Air accident, they were at a higher altitude. They had a longer time to diagnose it. They just couldn't do it. In this case, it appears as though the pilot could diagnose it, but it wasn't enough.
OK, so let's think bigger picture then, Peter. What does this mean? If it's a software, hardware issue for Boeing, what does this mean for Boeing? Because if the report is true, the Wall Street Journal report, this will be a nightmare for Boeing, will it not?
It'll be a real challenge, and there will be no rush to get this plane back in the air. And I wouldn't be surprised we're not talking about months before the 737 MAX is reintroduced to the public.
Peter Goelz there for us, live from Washington. Peter, great to see you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.